A clear conscience is usually the sign of a bad memory.
Grab a jam, I swear, this is down. It's my podcast. This guy's insane. Rock your brain. It's just a sound. A steam here about.
All right, hey, Schmack-a-Magob. This is part 4 of the Cheap Trick Discography, and I have with me here Mr. BJ Kramp. Hello, BJ.
Hello there.
How you doing?
I'm fine. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great, man.
A little bit more and a little bit more.
And the Podfather, Mr. Ken Mills.
The one, the only, the magnificence himself, the Ken Mills.
That's right. And the author of Still Compilation.
I never should have told him that.
Still Competition, the listener's guide to Cheap Trick, Mr. Robert Lawson. How you doing, Robert?
I'm good. Let's do this.
Let's finish this. Let's schmack-a-magob all over this because this is the finale. So here we go. Part 4, where the hell we left off last time. Here we go again.
Part 4, the final reckoning.
Yeah. This time it's personal.
That's a Jaws 4's reference for you.
Exactly. Which means this one's going to suck.
Yeah, but there's an alternate ending.
Where Michael, what was the star of that movie? The Michael Caine.
Michael Caine.
Yeah.
They pull him out of the ocean. And he's actually wet this time.
Look, everyone, it's Michael Caine.
Actually, the shark doesn't roar in the alternate ending. It does that same effect Gene does in Phantom of the Park. All right, what a long ass intro. Let's get into this. It's part 4. Well, then we go into special one, and boy, what was it? 7 years?
Wait.
Go ahead.
Hold on. If you don't own Cheap Trick 97, go to Amazon and buy it for like $1.98, used or new even. Find it, please. If here's 4 guys praising this album as one of the greatest recorded documents of all time. Don't fuck around. Life is too short. Don't listen to bad music. Get this CD.
That's extremely bad advice. Let me say it. Look, anybody out there that doesn't own 97, buy 20 of them. It's only $1 and give it to 19 of your friends.
There you go.
Thank you.
That's what I meant.
Yeah, that's what you meant. I'm talking for you, my boyfriend, my snookums.
Yeah.
Next,
Schmack-a-magob.
Schmack-a-magob is right.
Should we tell what that really means? Anyway, no, go on.
What did we wait? 7 years for the next one? I know it was a long time.
Yeah.
I see 97 and 2003. Yeah, that's 6 years. Special one. And boy, was I awaiting this one. I did see them play the Culture Room before this album came out, where they played My Obsession and Scent of a Woman. And I was like, okay, not bad. It's all right. Then I bought the album. And boy, let me tell you, one of my favorite episodes of you guys was this one. Because your guest, Michael Butler, how he got when you got to the last track. That was really funny. Really, really funny. You guys got to check out the special one, how much he loses it when you guys talk about the last track. It was amazingly good. But this album to me was a huge disappointment. I didn't get it. I didn't understand it. It just didn't do anything for me. Some songs were so drawn out that it was like, would you shut up already with Sorry Boy? And I didn't get it. Now, when I did the review and I lived with it for a month, there are some songs I ended up really liking. And then there's songs like my killer co-host, Ian Wadley, and probably you guys like this song too, and I don't understand it, is Pop Drone. I was like, I really don't know what's good about this song. And but you know, and then special one, the Chinese thing, the Japanese thing, I was like, ah. But you know, I will talk about my favorite track on here when it's my turn. But I'm going to throw this one to Robert first.
Oh, great. If finally I get to go first, and it's with this one.
Yeah, because you're the
Well,
special one.
well, I, coming off the '97 remarkable comeback, I find this album really problematic. It's not very special at all, unless it's potentially in the Special Olympics, because it's just like the songwriting. It just seems just really weak to me. I do like My Obsession. I think the vocals, especially Rick's backing vocals on it, are really, really good. And then this album has this really weird thing that I don't know of any other example where you've got this low life and high heels, which is kind of okay. It's this, dark kind of groove thing. And then the song right after it is the exact same song, just like produced like a little bit differently. And I just don't get how or whose idea it was to put the same song twice. If Low Life had started the album and Hummer was the end, then you could say it's some conceptual, bullshit or something. But just having them back to back, I don't get it at all. So it's a really problematic album for me. And they also have like different producers on almost every song, and that seems like a weird thing. Jack is back for a little bit. Brian's favorite guy, Albini, is there for a couple of songs. They're just all over the place.
It is a very uh, confusing album for me. How about you, BJ?
Yeah, the original album title was Retarded, and then they went with the PC.
Oh my god.
Should
Is
have
that
called
true?
it Short Bus.
Yeah, it's such a hodgepodge of random shit on this record. It's like the last album was so inspired and so cohesive and such like an artistic triumph, and then they wait 6 years and just kind of throw together a bunch of whatever the hell they had. It's not a good effort, and it makes you wonder what the hell, where was the band at this point, and how did they end up here from '97 to this?
Yeah, right.
What's going on with this? It's but yeah, I saw them before this came out. They did a bunch of songs. They did Too Much, and I remember they did Words.
Okay.
Probably did something else too.
I saw.
But yeah,
I remember mine was "Scent of a Woman," "Bad Obsession." I don't remember.
yeah, they
anything
did
else.
Send a Woman to My Obsession too. Yeah, and I actually knew My Obsession because that I had like on a bootleg because that goes back to the '90s. But yeah, this was just they fumbled it big time on this, and you got to wonder what was actually even going on, that made it take so long, and then this is what they came up with. It's really, really confusing.
Right. How about you, Ken?
It is not serviceable. I was glad it came with a DVD because I enjoyed that much more than I did the album.
Yeah. Can I interrupt for a second, Ken, about that?
Sure.
Man. The what was it called? Night Gallery. The first videos. They look terrible on that DVD. I have a much better copy on a bootleg. But Say Goodbye looked great. But I was like, what the hell? Don't they have a better copy of the Night Gallery stuff? Because it looks so bad on that DVD. But go on, I'm sorry.
So I was glad that the DVD was there because it was something I could enjoy. The fact that they do the two songs right in a row and don't end the album that way is a slap in the face to Decaf. Not that that's much of a song, probably, but I can't get to Decaf. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, there's not even the will to hit to the next track after the repeat song. I'm done. I tap the fuck out. And I've tried. You be on a drive or something, and you're just like, oh, I'll just let it play. And it's like, no fucking way. You know what I mean? You just can't do it. And it's just horrible.
Like I said, I listen to albums for a full month before I review it. This one was a challenge. I mean,
Yeah.
a challenge for me to, and it was amazing that there were a couple songs that did. You know what? This one's not bad. But all right, a question for all of you, because am I alone on this? Because not only Ian, but I've heard other people online say they love Pop Drone. Does everybody here like Pop Drone?
No,
All right, Ken.
it is a drone.
Yeah,
You know, I've heard people like auto asphyxia. What is that?
auto fixation.
Yeah,
I
but
tried
that
that. Fucking
You just-
awesome orgasms.
You asked the right guy.
yeah, but that doesn't
Yeah.
mean it's a good time. You know what I mean? It's
I'm a better man than Michael Hudson and what's the guy from Kill Bill, David Carradine. They didn't know how to do it right.
I remember my best line ever on Cheap Talk
Or-
was for Sorry
Ralph.
Boy when I said at least they apologize.
Oh, that's awesome. What a terrible song. And looking now, it's like, oh, surprise, surprise. Steve Albini.
Right.
God, that song, man. How about, well, I know Robert cannot possibly like Pop Drone.
No, I don't. But to that last comment, I'll say we can't blame Steve Albini totally for this because that's like I think that's the only songwriting credit he has on the record. And it's not like the
Yes.
other songs are much better.
No,
So-
but but still, you hear this is Sorry Boy. It's like, yeah, I can see Steve. I think Steve Albini had the bigger hand on that tune.
It's
Because
just
I
a
see
weird,
everybody in the band wrote that song with Steve Albini.
it's just a really weird thing that, I think we've probably already said this, but 97 is so cohesive. And then here, like every song has a different producer and a different co-writer and different co-producers, and I just don't get it. Because even if they had picked Albini for the whole record, at least it would be one cohesive record.
right.
Brian might not like it, but at least it would still just be one thing. And this is just
A fractured mess.
it's so all over the place that I don't get. And they had like you got Jack Douglas in there for like what, one song or two songs? Have him do a whole record. Come on.
Yeah, exactly. Well, what would be your favorite and least favorite? Do you have one there, Robert?
I like My Obsession. I'd probably pick that as my favorite. And if either Hummer or Low Life and High Heels were just on the album, I wouldn't have too much of a problem with it. The fact that they're both on there, that's a two-way tie for last.
All
and
right.
right back to back.
Yeah, that's my main issue with it. That they're back to back. I don't get it.
And
Yeah,
Hummer is Michael Butler's favorite song on the album.
Yes. I mean, no, not only his favorite. Didn't he say it's his favorite Cheap Trick song?
He
Period.
he
I
might have-
believe he said it's the greatest song they ever wrote.
Jerry Kramp.
The Butler formula for rating songs has just gone out the window.
I'm telling you, man. As confused as he was on your guys' opinion, I was more confused with him.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it, man.
I love you, Michael Butler.
Well, me and him, he doesn't like me much. I don't have a problem with him. But that's a whole other story. Actually, last time I'll just say it real quick.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
On the second Rock and Pod Expo, see, there's a guy, and I won't name his name. I'll tell you guys off the air. I don't mind. He made a Twitter account called Michael Butthurt. And
Yeah,
he
I
started
know who it
posting.
was.
Yeah, you know who it was. And he started posting videos of me on the Michael Butthurt Twitter. So, of course, it looks like I did it. So, on the second Rockin' Pod, me and Ian are walking around like Vinnie Vincent, and Ian's wearing a dress. And somebody sent us a link, and he's going, look at that idiot with the dress. That's the guy that did that Twitter account about me. I was like, no, you got the wrong guy, man. I mean,
Well,
it
he
wasn't
was
me either.
He was also convinced that I did it at one point.
Oh, really?
And me
He was
too.
sure that I did
Me
too.
You too?
Yeah.
It's because
Oh, Ken thought that I did it?
well,
No,
go ahead.
I think he thought we all did it at some point.
Hey, leave me out of this.
Well, I wrote him. I said it was Robert Lawson.
I told him
Yeah.
that shit's not even funny. It's insulting to accuse me of writing that bullshit. It's not even funny.
Yeah, and I'm not proud of it, but I was the one that came up with Michael Butthurt when we did.
Oh yeah, you came up with calling him that. Yeah.
Yeah, I called him that because when we were recapping and he was bitching about tables and shit,
Yeah.
I called him Michael Butthurt, and this guy went and did.
No, that's it's funny to call him Michael Butthurt, but the stuff that was on the Twitter account wasn't funny.
No, it was terrible. And then on top of it, adding videos from my YouTube page. And I was like, oh, you're really trying to throw this guy off of who you are and blaming the guy that came up with the name Michael Butthurt. I was really upset about that shit.
Well,
But anyway,
and he,
anyway, go ahead.
yeah, go on. We don't need to make this a thing.
No,
Yeah,
but
right.
I'll just say I did write him. I wrote him just to clarify. Look, I didn't make the Twitter account,
But
and
don't worry,
Michael.
Michael Butler is never going to listen to this.
Yeah, of course, I know. And Michael actually wrote back and said, "Cool, can we be friends?" And I said,
Aw.
"Sure." I said, "Sure." So I relayed it to Ian, and Ian's like, "Fuck that guy." You know, so I
Yeah,
was
Ian
like,
holds
well,
a permanent grudge.
oh no, yeah, because he said in the audio he wanted to kick Ian's ass. I can take him, you know. But anyway, all right. So my favorite on here, yeah, man, it's a toss up between Too Much and My Obsession. And my least favorite, now he's gonna hate me again, is Hummer. Hands down, that song is terrible. I mean, it's just so bad, and it really perplexes me how anybody not only can like the song but claim it's their favorite Cheap Trick song. You know, or maybe
Yeah.
he didn't say that, but I know he said it was one of the best songs they ever did, or probably the best song they've done since the 70s, something like that. And I was like, damn, bro. BJ, what would be your favorite and least favorite?
It's hard to even pick a favorite because there's nothing that really stands out too much to me as being like, oh, that's a great song, you know? But I
Right.
would probably go with Scent of a Woman as my favorite, even though there's something about it that just doesn't quite work. I think it's the title. And then the way they shoehorn the title in. It's almost like the song was written, and then they came up with that title and then kind of shoehorned it in or something. Um, I do like it as a song, though. And yeah, Hummer is the worst because it's longer than Low Life in High Heels. You know?
Yeah. And
But yeah, that's just ridiculous. So
it drones more than Pop Drone. I mean, it's just
yeah,
terrible. Keeps going on and on. But Best Friend too, though. You know, when it just keeps doing that shit over and over again, it's like, God,
yeah,
it's like they purposely wrote songs going, come on, we got to write something to make somebody turn the CD off. You know, it's
yeah.
just so bad. And that one, I don't care if it comes out
Hey,
on vinyl or not.
No.
The problem with pop drone is it's all drone and no pop.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I said. I think I said that
Oh
exactly.
yeah.
They got cheap songs.
All right, now we're gonna go to the next
Wait.
album.
Wait,
Okay.
I did not get to weigh in.
I'm sorry, Ken. I thought you did your favorite and least favorite. I'm sorry.
No, I'm giving it to you now,
If
though.
you would have gave me the sleeve job.
That's right. Too Much is the best song on the album to me. It's real. You know what I'm saying? And you're gonna. Anyone want to guess what my least favorite one is?
Hummer. No.
Nope.
Wow.
That's like picking Huda King, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, it is.
A common. Okay, the song before it, Low Life and High Heels, whatever it's called.
Scent of
What?
Really?
Yes.
Really? More than Hummer? Oh, you're not counting Hummer.
Here's the thing.
Damn. Best
That
friend.
song, people love it, and I don't know why.
I like that song.
Very beginning, where it sounds like some sort of weird, I don't know, Simon and Garfunkel or some weird thing, and then it goes, a man and a man is a garbage can, a garbage. You know, it's the same fucking gibberish. It's just trash.
Honestly, there's not a single
man
song
ain't a
on.
man, a one night stand. A man ain't a man in a. Just
I know
shut
it is
up.
kind of dumb.
It's
There's
stupid.
There's not a single song on Special One that I really care if I ever hear again. It's like,
Let me put it this way. I remember seeing them on Conan O'Brien and going, "Oh, new Cheap Trick. This is going to be cool." And they played "Son of a Woman." I'm like, "This is some straight up bullshit. What's going on here?" This is not a good song. And then I heard it like
feel
the
like a
next
Cheap
day.
Trick song.
No, and then I heard it the next day on a fucking FM, classic rock station. New from Cheap Trick. Let's check it out. And I'm like, that's what you're playing on the radio? Fuck that shit. And it's sad that Rick, Robin, and Bunny can't come up with something better than that.
Well,
The only
I'm
thing
surprised.
the only thing I can figure is they were offered to do a soundtrack for the Al Pacino movie Son of a Woman, and it just was sitting around in the garbage can for a long time.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, the original title of Hummer was Hoo-Ah.
Hoo-ah!
I would have liked it more if it just said hoo-ah over and over again.
Yeah, just every once in a while. Hoo-ah!
Hey, can I ask a question?
Sure.
I got a question, just because a little off topic, but just because you guys were talking about Michael Butler and the Rockin' Pod and all that kind of stuff. I listened to a podcast a couple years ago, and I can never find it again. But there's a guy, and I don't know who he is, but they were doing like a track by track thing of a Cheap Trick album, and for almost every song, the guy would say, he'd say, "Now this song is my favorite song because it sounds like a song my band would write when we used to write songs." Who's that guy? Do you know who I'm talking about?
Yeah, Michael Butler.
No.
No, I don't know.
No, I don't know. I have no idea. I've not heard that.
Was that American rock podcast or something? I don't know.
Freeform rock.
No, not Freeform. No. He would have said this freaking song. But I gotta say, man, not as surprised as Michael Butler loving Hummer, but man, picking Scent of the Woman over like Best Friend and Sorry Boy.
But here's the thing. I'm not ever going to be at a Cheap Trick concert and they're going to bust out Sorry Boy. You know what I mean? They're never going to do that. But there's a pretty goddamn good chance that they're going to ruin my night with a man in a one-night stand. Fuck that shit. Fuck it. Fuck
Ken
it.
prefers the scent of a man.
Yeah, I was about to say, would you like it more if it was called Scent of a Man?
Eat a dick, BJ. Anyway, so...
Oh my!
But seriously, I mean,
Ken wants
it's
the
just a
Hummer.
wonderful song.
Yeah.
How that was a single is beyond me. I'm just gonna say this: it is the worst song that was ever released as a single to radio that Cheap Trick ever put out.
Wow. Holy mackerels. That is shocking. All right. Speaking of shocking, the next album. Now, I got to say something. I bought Rockford right when it came out. Got the CD. Put it in. Listened to it. And I was like, man, this album ain't doing nothing for me. But I hear hooks. Sounds really good. I liked how the album sounded. Of course, Robin sounds great even on, any song. Even when he hums, shit sounds good. But I didn't get it. I didn't understand this album. And this was an album I kept going back to going, I know this is a good album, but I don't get it. And then I just gave up. I said, you know what? I just don't like Rockford. I just don't like it. Then I did the 1 month challenge to the reviews. And wow, BJ, you were right. Because, then I would hear the episode of BJ glowing about it. I go, oh, no wonder I don't like it. BJ loves it, But then it just dawned on me. And I got to say, man, when I picked my favorite song on this album, and I don't remember what you guys said about this song, but I got to say, not in my top 20, I would put this song in the top 10 of greatest Cheap Trick songs. It's so good. And it's definitely a deep track on this album. But I was pleasantly surprised how good this album was. There is still a couple songs that I'm like, but I don't think it's perfect the whole way through. But to everybody out there that was like me, Ian's one of them. I told Ian, dude, live with it for a month because I play this album a lot now. And not on vinyl, right, guys?
No.
Yeah,
Unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, the Japanese Mondo Raga was pretty bad. But I love this album. And, I still prefer 97. But as far as everything after 97, this would be my favorite one. BJ, go ahead, man. Lather the nuts of this one.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a bad song on this album, in my opinion. So, and there's some just amazing, very melodic great pop songs on it. So yeah,
Full of hooks.
yeah, and this seems like another inspired record. I mean, there's a few songs that they dug out from the demos, but Old Claire is really old apparently. But
Yeah.
it still feels like a record, you know. So you get in between this and 97, you get Special One, and you're just like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Did they like break up for 10 years and then get back together? I mean, what the hell happened there? Because it's just really strange that they could have such a great comeback as 97 and then just like, you know, not do anything with it, just kind of peter out. And it's like, you really wonder what happened. It almost seems like they broke up or something, you know? Because 97 was so triumphant and then it just died. But then they made a great comeback again with this record. So, you know, I always say there's no other band in history that made music this good, this deep into their career. Not that I can think of.
Right.
What would you put this above 97?
I like it more than 97, just
Okay.
for my personal take.
Bold.
All right. Well, how about you, Robert?
I love it. I think it's a great record. I don't know what episode number it is, but Ken could probably help us out here. That me and the boys here, we actually did a whole Cheap Talk episode about Rockford.
I heard it.
So I think we're all big fans of it, and I totally agree with Brian that this is just a solid piece. You know, it's weird. One of the complaints that I mentioned about Special One, that they've got different co-producers on every song. This has that too, but it still seems to hold together better. It still flows like a real record, and it's all of the same kind of vibe, and it's not as disjointed. They also recorded this thing partially when they were on the road, so there's like a dozen different studios, if not more, that were used. So they're recording in different places, they're using different producers, and yet somehow the end result is a very cohesive piece of work. I highly recommend this record for people who don't really know the 90s and the later Cheap Trick stuff. 97 is absolutely essential, but this is definitely a record that people need to listen to and give a little bit of time to. I think they'll be really rewarded. Great record.
Did you get it right away, Robert?
No, I didn't get it for years.
No, I'm saying did it the first time you listened? Did you like it, or did it take a while?
No, the first time I listened to it, I knew I was very disappointed with Special One, and the first time I listened to this, I really felt like we're back. Like there's some really good stuff going on here. Great record. And then, a few years later, when I got some of the demos and the outtakes and the bootleg stuff from a bunch of different sources, and I put it all together, it just made like a great kind of 2 CD deluxe edition, and I play that a lot.
Nice. BJ, did you get it right away?
Yeah, definitely. But like it probably had a leg up, because how could it be a disappointment after Special One?
Yeah.
So you're like, if it's good at all, you're gonna be excited. But also the whole packaging, so amazing. I love the cover. I
cool.
love the whole packaging so much.
It's eye-fetching. It is, the colors and stuff. And yeah, I got to tell you, it's weird though, because I've never experienced an album where I put it on, I'm like, man, this sounds like something I like, but it's not catching me. And then all of a sudden, it hit me like all at once. I kept playing it, and I think like by the third, fourth listen, I was like, now I get it. How about you, Ken? Did you get it right away, or did it have to sink in like it did for me? Or am I the only one here?
I have a friend that bought this, Michael Mayacher, great guy. He said, listen, I know you love Cheap Trick. You're going to really like this. Because he asked me, did you buy the new Cheap Trick album? I'm like, nah. Not really that.
Shrug.
Yeah, and he brought it over to the house, and we put it on, and we visited, but I didn't listen to it. But he said, this song's really good, and so on and so forth. But I wasn't in the mood to hear it. So I took it out of the CD player, and I put it on the shelf, and it sat for a long, long time. I'm talking like maybe 2 years, maybe.
Wow.
And I listened to it, and I was surprised at how good it was because I was gun shy after 97 to wind up with Special One. If that was the best they can do, then I'd rather keep the Cheap Trick I love than the Cheap Trick I don't, right? So
Right.
it was a surprise, but it's also the onset of early stage Julian Raymond. So which we've been dealing with him now since what the Special One album.
Yeah.
He's been in the mix, and if not earlier, but I don't see him anywhere on the 97. So
Nope.
but yeah, it's much better than the album that was before it, and better than the one after it. So it's another increase in quality. I wonder if it's like here's where I turn into super nerd. I wonder if it's like the Star Trek movies where every other one is like amazing.
Right. What would be your least favorite and favorite, Ken?
Off of Rockford, it's tough. I'm going to go with All Those Years. It's such a different kind of sound for that band, but I just love that song.
All right, that one's your favorite, right?
Yeah, that's just so special to me. I love that one, right?
It's a special one.
Yeah, there you go. A little bit more. I think that's my least favorite. I don't know. You know what I'm talking about?
Which
One
song's
more.
your least favorite?
What was that?
What's your least favorite?
The one that's got Rick
One
going.
more.
A little bit. Yeah, one more. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do it, PJ. Do it. Do it.
Go ahead. Come on. Beauty.
BJ, I'm interested to see what's your favorite off this album you love.
My favorite is If It Takes a Lifetime, which is
Okay.
Yeah.
just fucking great.
Yeah.
And I agree with Ken, even though I like the song One More would be the worst song on here, but I do like it and it makes me laugh. So
Me too. But
yeah.
you got to pick something.
All right,
Every
nobody
song, like
picked.
I said, they're all good. So
Nobody picked my favorite. What's your favorite there, Robert, and least favorite?
If it takes a lifetime is probably it's definitely one of my favorites. Come on, come on, come on, is great. It as we talked about on the Cheap Talk episode, this is really a hard album to find a bad song on. There's a lot of fun to it, and the band just sounds so great. I like Every Night and Every Day a lot.
yeah.
I guess. Geez, I don't know. I don't really have a worse. I have a really high opinion of this album. I like Dream the Night Away. I really, really like, although I might like the 97 demo a little bit more. But just a great record. I highly recommend this album.
No, I'm dying to hear that demo because my favorite, and I will put it in my top 10, is Dream the Night Away. That's my favorite song on this album.
Ah.
I'm not, but there are two songs I don't like on here, and I am going to be like you guys. I'm going to pick one more as my least favorite, but you know what? I'm not a big fan of Come On, Come On, Come On. I don't know. It's just something about that song.
I would agree that's probably the second worst song, actually.
Yeah, that's the one. Go ahead.
And I don't mean the actual song itself. I mean, I was talking to somebody who was listening to the whole Cheap Trick discography in like 2 months.
Bless them.
And they said this band really likes to reference themselves more than any other band I've ever heard. And I said, what do you mean? And she said, well, this song, Come On, Come On, Come On. You've got another song called Come On, Come On. And then, Eau Claire and, just on and on and on and on. So, yeah, there you go.
And they took off the H off Eau Claire.
Yeah.
And I like that one. I like how Robin sings that very high. And I love it If It Takes a Lifetime. I love that song. And I love But believe me, those are the only two songs I have a problem with. I ended up loving. I mean, check out my review. You can see me like completely shell shocked how much I ended up liking the album. All
I
right,
love
we'll go.
I love on Eau Claire how it starts with Rick and he sounds so fragile and so
Yeah.
like
Wait. Maybe it was Rick.
his
That's
vocal is just like so
Just
tender
at the
and
beginning.
then Rick's at the very beginning and at the end and then
And
okay.
when Robin steps up it's like a
you
really
know
great
the
moment.
you know the Rolling Stone where Cheap Trick are on the cover from '79?
Of
Yes.
course.
Rick talks about that song in that article.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Wow.
And it's weird when you listen to that song. It's almost like Rick's playing the older version
Yeah.
of the man, and
Yeah.
then you go back in time and he's living it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's what that song is. It's that weird, Dylan had a thing where he wanted at one point he said he wanted a song to look like a painting in which that you could look at different areas at the same time. So the time that a character takes place in a song that can kind of interweave, and Tangled Up in Blue is his example of that. So you're right. In this, Rick is using that where he's playing a character, and then Robin kind of steps in, and then it comes back again to the old character who was looking back. It's a really interesting thing for Rick to be doing at that stage of his songwriting career.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
just imagine that he's looking back at this photograph,
Mm.
and while he's looking at the photograph, he becomes that young man again for that short time, and then as he's getting ready to put it down, he returns to his current age. That's exactly what it sounds like to me.
Yes, 100% agree, Ken.
and it's interesting, BJ. In what context did he talk about this song? Like it was coming out, or
Yeah, he was just talking about how he had this song. It's like about an old man who's singing about his dead wife, something like that. He's just kind of describing this song, maybe that he just wrote or something.
Yeah, I think
wow.
he's just kind of saying like, oh, I got this weird song
Yeah.
that we haven't done yet or something, and he's just kind of like throwing it out there that it's a thing, and
Yeah.
how long did that sit in the desk
I
until he
know.
finally brought it out?
Yeah.
Because he wrote it before that article, so it's like 3 decades later or something. You dig it out.
And it's such a great song.
Yes.
So
Yeah, and it's wild too because I learned this from listening to Cheap Tracks. So you all should listen. You get so many little tidbits of minutia. Even the albums coming up, there's a lot of songs that are old songs, and I wouldn't have known none of this, and it's cool. And Robert too touches upon it too. But man, BJ, you should write a book, man.
Yeah, there's an idea.
a lot of
an
it's from Mike Hayes too, There's a lot of
Yeah.
stuff I just take from Mike Hayes' book too.
Cheers,
Okay.
cheers to Mike Hayes.
That's repetition is a fragile thing, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I bought that when it was new, so I have that
But it's
original
just
press.
also having collected all the old demos and bootlegs and stuff. It's just like, That's why when I heard when they did My Obsession at that show, like before Special One came out, I'm like, oh, I know this one.
Yeah, right.
Mike
Mike-
Hayes, we
Mike
love
and,
you.
Mike and I have talked about that. That for him, when he was researching his book, it was a different world.
Yeah.
So he had to pour
Yeah, I've
over
been able to track
old.
down. I tracked down all these people through Facebook.
Yeah, right. Yeah, like
Yeah.
how would you do like back then? He's just
For
looking
Mike,
through
it was
like
way
old,
harder. Yeah.
old metal magazines and old
Yeah.
hit parader magazines and stuff. Now you could actually just like look up an old producer or songwriter and say, hey, can I talk to you for a bit? And in a lot of cases, I found they're up for it.
Yeah.
Yep. Now, hey, I want to throw this out. Remember we talked about George Martin, and he's handing him these songs that didn't really fit with what he could have got out of George Martin. Imagine George Martin producing Eau Claire.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there you go.
Well, this
Yeah,
guy
I
who
think we
produces
talked
it
about
do
that.
better.
I think we talked about that on the episode where Eau Claire feels like a song that should have a really huge production.
Mhm.
It works really well on the record, but it also feels like something that should have been really big and like really well produced.
Yeah, a big orchestra could have kicked in like the second half of it to drive it home.
All right. And before we get into the next one, which is the final album with Bunny Carlos, um, I never got the backstory on this, but BJ, you sent me a picture of you hanging out with Bunny Carlos. Oh, how did that happen?
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, okay. You can't talk about it. Well, at least let me ask you
It
this: Does
it
he live near
happened.
you or something?
The way it happened is I started interviewing people to write a book, and one of the guys I've tracked down is this guy Jim Charney, who worked at Epic Records when Cheap Trick got signed, but he actually lived in Madison in the '60s, late '60s, and he knew their manager Ken Adamany, and he was familiar with the band Fuse that Rick and Tom were in. So he is like kind of a part of the whole thing. And when I talked to Jim Charney, he's like, "Well, I'm still in touch with Ken Adamany," and he actually talked to Ken Adamany, who managed Cheap Trick from the very beginning all the way into the '90s, you know. And he hooked me up with Ken Adamany, and then Ken Adamany, we were gonna have a meeting, and he got Bunny Carlos to come. And actually, that was the first time they had been in the same room since the '90s.
Wow,
So it was pretty crazy.
that's awesome. Well, then we go to the last album with Bunny Carlos, and oh yeah, I remember listening to this one too, and I was very disappointed in you guys on one song. Can't understand how you guys cannot love Sleep Forever. What's wrong with you guys? Seriously. Robert, do you like
I
Sleep
think
Forever? Are you like really like brain dead like these two?
No, I like it a lot. I just don't understand how, I read that Rick Nielsen said it was a tribute to Alex Chilton, who had passed away. He was
But
actually
it was
still,
written before he passed away.
he was still alive.
It came out before he passed away,
He
right?
actually, well, not a lot
Yeah.
of people know Rick killed him.
Well, just so that the story would fit.
Yeah.
But this record has, we were talking earlier about covers and them doing songs that the record company kind of push on them. So they do When the Lights Are Out by Slade. But to me, that's a real fun kind of cover, and it's the kind of thing that it makes sense. Like, it sounds to me like Cheap Trick decided to do that. So I have no issue with it. It's a lot of fun. They sampled the drum from Hello Kitties, and then Bun just added some extra like cymbals on top of it. So really fun song. This is another great record. So coming after what we just had, pretty happy with it. California Girl, neat thing. I don't think it's quite as good as the original version of it, which was called Bad Little Girl on an Elvis tribute album. But really, really interesting record. And Smile is like this majestic kind of epic thing that I love.
Right on. What did you think, BJ, of the latest?
Well, this is our most recent episodes of Cheap Talk that we did, and it was very controversial
Oh,
because we were very negative, especially on side one of this record. We were especially negative about a lot of it. But when it gets to the end of the record, the last 5 songs are amazing.
hmm
So I really love those 5 last songs in a row. And then also, These Days Miracle, those are fine songs. The recycled material on here is the worst material. Miss Tomorrow was a Robin solo song.
yeah.
Every Day You Make Me Crazy was a Pepsi commercial. Well, it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Why is that stuff on here? So it kind of gets muddied by this recycled material, but when you get to the end of the record, it's amazing.
See, I agree with
Yeah.
that. I think it starts strong, and then it dips a bit, and then it's got a real good finish.
You
Yeah.
know, and I'm seriously, I'm not saying this as a joke. I listened to this episode when you guys put it up before you put up part two. And when you put up part two, I was like, fuck these guys. I ain't listening to this shit. I'm not making a joke either. I never heard from part. Now I'm going to go
Well, yeah.
listen to it.
But yeah, when everybody was so mad about part one, I just kept saying, wait till you hear side two.
Mhm.
Because I just raved about it, But
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was like, does anybody have this on vinyl?
no.
Yeah, I wish I would have got it. It's so expensive now. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Ken, what do you think of the latest?
I love the high highs and I hate the low lows. What is, let me put it this way, there are things that you can tell on this album when they care. And when they care, it's awesome. Right? Like, you mentioned Smile. Come on. Amazing. But Every Day You Make Me Crazy, you can tell it was just an afterthought, as was California Girl. So there's some genius stuff on this album, and there's some utter shite that's on this album. And again, it's not so much that the idea that they had was shite, but if you're gonna, promise me a steak and you wind up giving me just the garnish, it doesn't work. And there's some garnish on this that's not a real song, right?
Best analogy ever.
I love this album, though I do admit there are maybe 3 clunkers, but I love Miss Tomorrow. I didn't know it was a Robin Zander B-side from the solo album, and I heard you guys talk about it, so then I went to, or maybe I read in the book, I went to YouTube, and honestly, I like the latest version more.
Yeah, I do too. I think it's a lot better than the
the Robin
94 version. Yeah.
And I think it starts off really strong. I think it ends strong too. But yeah, in the middle there are some ands. But I guess I'll go first. My favorite song on the album is "Sick Men of Europe," and I just think it's heavy. It's great. It's short to the point, and I dig how they, the title. Well, I remember when I first heard it, I was like, that was the name of the band. Sick Men of Europe. Before it wasn't Bunny in that. I know it was Rick and Tom, but Bunny was in Sick Men of Europe too, right? I'm not sure.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
Did they have Zeno or some other guy during that?
Stookie was the singer who was in the Nas, Todd Rundgren's band.
And that's why they mentioned the Nas in the song.
Yeah, they say this ain't the Nas. What did they say? Yeah, they did say this ain't the Nas. It's the new generation, something like that.
This ain't the Nas. It's self-preservation.
Right.
That's awesome, and I love the video for When the Lights Are Out, where it's only night gallery footage.
Right.
I thought that was cool. And they sync a lot of Hello Kitties to it because it does sound like Hello Kitties. I went back and listened to the Slade cover. I don't know nothing about Slade, and I like the Slade cover more. And that's kind of crazy for me to say that because I know none about Slade, and Cheap Trick is like in my top 5 favorite bands of all time. And I loved When the Lights Are On. Then when I heard their version, I was like, damn, this is even better. Usually, I don't think that way,
Well,
like,
Slade are my second favorite band of all time.
Oh,
Fucking
are they?
amazing band, yeah.
Oh, wow.
And When the Lights Are Out is one of their best songs. It's fucking, it's amazing.
Recommend me what album I should start with because I am interested now.
Slade
In
Alive.
Flame.
Which one?
No. In Flame would be the one I would recommend.
70s?
Yeah, 74.
Yeah,
They had 2 records at 74 that are amazing. Old New Borrowed and Blue and In Flame. Both, and When the Lights Are Out is from Old New Borrowed and Blue. It's called Stomp Your Hands, Clap Your Feet in the U.S.
Are you serious?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow, because Quiet Riot
Yeah.
covered Come On Feel the Noise and Mama We're All Crazy Now, and then they ripped off a song title?
Yeah.
That's insane, man. And Kevin DeBro wasn't a Slade fan.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, right.
No, that was record company pressure. He wasn't a Slade fan.
Yeah.
Well, he claimed it.
Well, maybe he was. Who knows? But
but that's one of those cases where someone says, "I've never even heard the man," and
Yeah.
meanwhile it's like, "No, you totally have."
yeah, I remember the '80s, the Kingdom Come guitars.
Yeah,
I've never heard a Led Zeppelin song.
Right.
Yeah, it's like Vanilla Ice going. Mine goes dun 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 dun.
Like Kevin DeBro the band name came from him hanging out with the guys at Status Quo, so there's no way he doesn't know Slade.
Yeah, right.
Well, I think what he said was he wasn't a fan, or maybe he just wasn't a fan of those songs they had to cover.
He was resentful that his only success was with Slade songs. I think.
Yeah.
Was the problem.
Yeah, songs that he didn't write.
And it was ridiculous. The next album, them doing another Slade song as a single. It's like, oh God, really?
Yeah, that's sad.
But my least favorite, believe it or not, I don't like the song at all. Actually, it annoys the piss out of me. Is Every Day You Make Me Crazy. But that's not my least favorite on here. It's California Girl. I just don't like that song at all. That's to me the one that really, really bothers me on this album. But yeah, man, Sick Man of Europe is my favorite. But man, I love Time of Our Lives and Smile and Sleep Forever. I love it, man.
Yep.
Those vocals, it's just oh man, it's just so beautiful. But BJ, what would be your favorite and least favorite?
My favorite on this record has always been Alive, but it's really hard to say because I think Everybody Knows and Closer are both also absolutely brilliant songs. And so
Yes.
it's hard. It's really hard to pick a favorite on here because those are just some really, really great songs. But I agree, the worst song is California Girl for sure.
Right. Ken?
There's a demo of California Girl that we played that was,
Bad Little
I
Girl.
think, 10 times better than what they wound up plating, you know. Worst song is Every Day You Make Me Crazy. It wasn't that good of a Pepsi commercial. It's not that good of a song. They should have done something with it. That's all I'm going to say. Best song on the album for me is Sick Man of Europe. That may not be the most artistic song or the most well-written song, but it fucking rocks like crazy, and that album needs as much rock as you can get on it. Things like Everybody Knows, Smile, Alive, just Closer, just amazing. And, you know, it's weird, but through the 80s, we were plagued with albums that the last 6 songs are where everything goes to shit. On this album, it's where everything is redeemed.
Yeah.
All
Yeah, they
right.
really
Yeah.
kick it up.
Now Bunny's out. We're gonna skip Sergeant Pepper. I will say quickly about Sergeant Pepper. I love it. I just hate that some songs didn't feature Robin singing. I think he should have
Right.
sang the whole thing. And really, I love how he does "She's Leaving Home." It's just so amazing. But
Yep.
Bang Zoom Crazy Hello is the next album, the first one with Dak Nielsen. Um, when I first put this album on, I got it right away. I loved it. I think this is a good album. It does have its some filler that's really obvious fillers on this, but I think it's a decent album. I don't think it's as good as Rockford, and I say it's like on par with the latest. I think I know I kind of remember you guys bitching about this album on some of the songs I like, but whatever.
Not me.
Oh, you liked it all? Who was on that show? Was it Robert? I know BJ was there being a.
That was Michael Butler.
Oh.
Wasn't Michael Butler like saying stuff like, "Yeah, I don't kind of remember this song." I was like, "Wait to do your research,"
Probably.
But
Ken
no, but
Mills, can you play some of this song for me, Ken Mills? Oh yeah, okay. I don't remember it.
I know he's not listening, but just in case, hey Michael, let's be friends. All right. I do love this album for the most part. Like, what I said about the latest is pretty much what I say about this. I really think Dax is a good player. I don't notice that much of even seeing him live. I think the guy's great. And I don't know if you guys agree with it. I guess you probably should. Is that now that Dax is in the band, we get longer Cheap Trick shows.
Yep.
And I really do appreciate that. I love Bunny Carlos. I always have, even though he's a total prick to me. But 2 times I met him, he was really rude. But but I love Bunny, regardless. And he is missed, but yeah, man, you only get 75-minute shows with Bunny. And now you get like an hour and a half up to 2-hour shows and so many deep tracks. I mean, that's one thing about Cheap Trick, man. They write their set list seconds before going on stage. Because, and I heard this on the Dan Rather interview, what they do is they kind of like scope the audience before they go on stage and get a vibe from the audience from opening acts. And that's how they write their set list. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
But anyway, so Yeah, I love this album. What do you think, BJ?
Really disappointing. Yeah. It's about all I could say. It's just kind of nothing about it excites me much, and I don't know when I would ever really put it on. So
Is there any song that you actually said on here that was like, okay, this is a good one?
I mean, there's plenty of the songs are fine, but nothing stands out as very strong to me.
Right. Ken thinks different, right, Ken?
Well, I'm not as hard on it as BJ, and I just wanted to use an excuse to say hard on. So now that that's out of the way, it's been 7 years now. We're looking at these at clip, 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 but it's 7 years later after the latest. So just think how long it was from 97 till now. You know what I'm saying? It's an amazing amount of time for us to stand by this band and be loyal to this band and love this band. It's an amazing testament, to them and to us too, because we're the other side of the equation. Uh, I didn't understand the cover. That should have been on the inside of the thing or on the back of the cover, but I didn't care for the Bang Zoom Crazy Hello thing with the comic font. Again, I think it turns people off because what are they trying to be, superheroes? Is it a comedy thing? It's such a great band that they don't need that distraction. You know what I'm saying? But whatever. It's just a title. It's just an album cover. But as far as the songs, I thought it was good. I love Bunny Carlos. I love Dax Nilsson. Two things can be true at the same time. So there's some great stuff on here.
Right on. Robert?
I like the record a lot. There's a lot of. I like No Direction Home. I think Robinson's great on that. I love When I Wake Up Tomorrow. Do You Believe Me? I really like a lot of it. I'm not as much a fan of some of the songwriting credits, which get real creative. That kind of stuff just kind of bothers me as like a fact checker kind of guy.
Hard on the line.
Wait, explain that.
Okay, so the first song on the album, Hard on the Line, which I really like a lot, but it was originally released in 1990 by a group called House of Lords.
Right.
So Rick had written it, and in fact, him and Robin sing backup on it. So that's 1990, right. And then they demoed it for the 1997 Cheap Trick album. Doesn't sound too different, pretty similar. And then in 2016, it comes up on this new album, and both Julian Raymond and Dax Nielsen get co-writing credit.
And Greg Jafria.
What's that?
Greg Jafria gets credit too, from House of Lords.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so he was a keyboard player in House of Lords. But on the House of Lords record, there's only a credit to Rick.
R. Nielsen. Yep.
Yeah. So somewhere there, like, that's not artistic stuff. That's politics stuff. And it might be in Julian's contract that he has to get songwriting points on a certain number of songs or something, because there's no way, like, if he's whatever he suggested to get that credit, it's so minimal. Because if you hear the House of Lords version and then you hear the 1997 demo version, it's really not that different.
Well, you know who was really pissed about that? The guy that mops up the floor after the band leaves the studio. He was figuring everyone's getting a credit. I might as well.
I thought his picture was going to be on the cover.
I see Ian Wadley gets a credit on this song too.
Yep.
All right. Go ahead.
So that's the deal with the credits.
Gene Simmons should have got a credit because he came up with the name House of Lords.
Yeah, might as well.
I actually came up with that name.
Well,
wait till he hears this album.
Well, he definitely did more. If he got House of Lords the record deal, then he has more to do with the song Hard on the Line than Julian Raymond does.
Yeah, it's true.
Like he just does. And and I think we see that on the next album as well, that there's some songs that they've recycled that we know that they were written 20 or more years ago, and yet people who are not involved are credited. I mean, Do You Believe Me on this album? That's a really old song. I mean,
Yeah.
Brian can tell you all about that. That goes way back to like 1976, before they even had their record deal. And Julian Raymond
Julian Raymond wrote it. And
yeah,
Dax.
well, yeah, Julian and Dax get co-writing credits on that, and it's not, again, it's not that different. They might have suggested a couple of little arrangement things, but that's just being in the band. That's not co-writing a song. If anything, if they're getting credits for "Do You Believe Me," then Bun should have a credit for it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, but they're kind of like against Bun because Bun's
Well,
still making cash off them.
well, sure, but again, that's why I say this is political. It's not artistic.
Yeah, I hear you. Do you have a favorite and least favorite, Robert?
I don't know if I really like even the cover of the In Crowd. I like the way that they do it. Um, I'm a big Ramsey Lewis fan, so I've always been a fan of his jazz arrangement of it. I like it a lot. I like the record. I do kind of think, and I think I pointed out that I thought that The Sun Never Sets might be really nice as a closer on the album, and I kind of wish that they had sequenced the album a little bit differently. I guess my least favorite would be All Strung Out, just because I don't get the references to like Frank Serpico and Courtney Love. Not that I have a problem with Frank Serpico or Courtney Love, but I do think that the front half of the album is really, really strong. I like it a lot.
How about you, Ken?
Well, it is round.
Mm.
No, there's some great stuff on here. What I like as far as a least favorite, I'm gonna go with Long Time No See Ya. I think I could have went a little longer without hearing either. So, as far as a favorite song off this, I'm kind of going between No Direction Home and When I Wake Up Tomorrow. But damn, When I Wake Up Tomorrow is just so damn good. And people say it doesn't sound like Cheap Trick, but Cheap Trick, Robin's always been the man of 1,000 voices, so be David Bowie on this one. Knock yourself out. It's not the first time he channeled Bowie. I mean, back on The Doctor, what's the first? It's Up to You? That kind of reminds me of Bowie, too. But, great song. And might I mention that my beloved Monkees are represented quite well in the video. Because Rick is playing a Monkees Gretsch guitar, and it's signed by Mickey Dolenz. And if you catch the right still, you'll see it.
Nice.
Yeah, there's an earlier music video, and I don't know.
If You Want My Love, you got it. There's same guitar is in there, but not signed by Mickey Dolenz.
That's right. If you watch the video for If You Want My Love, you see that same guitar. But yeah, the pick guard hasn't been signed yet. So that's cool to see that again.
Yeah,
nice.
Definitely.
BJ, how about you?
I think my favorite is The Sun Never Sets, if I remember right. And I probably agree with Robert that All Strung Out is the worst.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going with No Direction Home is my favorite, and I agree with Ken. Long Time No See You is a little too repetitious and annoying. That's the one song that stands out. Though I am not a fan of All Strung Out as well. There are a couple tunes on here I can do without, but for the most part, I really like it. All right, we're finally at the end, guys.
Are we?
This is going to be a four-parter.
We're not doing Christmas?
You know what?
We're gonna wait for Clive. We gotta wait for Clive.
You guys can. I'm ashamed to say this, but I own Christmas on vinyl and it's still sealed. I have yet to hear it. So I don't know. I'm not a Christmas album guy, so I'm gonna. Hopefully, you guys give it a glowing review. That'll make me open it up tonight and listen to it. I was planning on doing a review for it and putting it up on Christmas. So maybe tonight I'll start listening to it. I'll take your guys, well, not BJ's, but everybody else. I'm kidding. I'm agreeing more with BJ than Ken.
These things happen.
Well, all right. Now we go to the last one. Well, so far, I can't wait to the next one. Any news on that one? That's coming out.
No.
No, but it looks like they might have a new record deal. So
I saw what it looks like, the new album cover.
yeah.
It's a picture of Uncle Sam, and it says Cheap Trick. Give
Well,
me.
that's a single that's coming out on Record Store Day. Actually, I think.
Oh, okay. I thought that was the album cover.
Yeah.
Um,
So get ready, Ralph.
huh?
Get ready to buy it on Record Store Day because it'll go fast.
Yeah, I have a hard time finding Cheap Trick Record Store Day exclusives. I never found part two of the Epic. What is it called? Epic something.
Archive.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, Epic Archives. The first one I couldn't find, and Ian found it in New Orleans and sent it to me. Thank God. But I need to get the second one. But anyway, We're All Right is the final Cheap Trick album as we're recording this of original material. And honestly, I think this one is not as good as Bang Zoom Crazy Hello. But it does have some standouts that I really like. But I hate this term, but I gotta say it. I hate it. It sounds like dad rock, and I don't like that time. When I hear people say dad rock, dad metal, I always reply to them saying, "Well, you know what? It's better than I still live with my parents rock." But really, when I listen to this album, it kind of sounds like let's just I don't know. It kind of some of these songs to me sound kind of like thrown together. Like they made a plan. Let's release an album a year, like we did back in the day, and this one sounds a little rushed. That's why I'm happy this one's taking a little longer, the next one. But there are some really good tunes on here as well. It's kind of like half good, half whatever, half not too much thought put into it. My opinion. What do you think, BJ?
I pretty much have the same reaction to this album as the last one, except I probably like this album a little bit more. But really, these last two records are just kind of mediocre to me, where I don't imagine I would ever really put it on. It's not going to be something I'll listen to very often, but it's not bad. It's just none of the songs really, just not a lot of what I love about Cheap Trick just doesn't seem to be there, I guess.
Well, let's just cut this shit, man. Let's just really lay it out, okay?
Yeah.
The problem is that the main creative force of the band is no longer the main creative force of the band.
Yeah.
Speak it.
It's now Robin Zander, and I love Robin Zander, so I don't necessarily have a problem with it from loving Robin Zander's standpoint of view. But I think that Cheap Trick at this point is Robin Zander's band. And you can like that or not like it. It's similar to Kiss's Paul Stanley's band at this point. It has been for a long time. People were blaming Gene for all this shit. And it's Paul, man. It's Paul calling the shots. And that's just the way it is. And I don't say that with any meanness or any animosity or anything bad. I admire Robin Zander. The guy can do no wrong vocally, and he seems like a nice guy, so I'm not talking him down. It's just different. That's all. It doesn't mean that it's worse, bad, mediocre. It's just not. Let me put it this way: if this fast food place had this one sandwich that you loved, and they changed something about that sandwich, it's not exactly that same sandwich anymore. But see, Cheap Trick is not just one guy. It never was one guy. So maybe Rick just doesn't have as much to say right now. Maybe Robin has more to say, right? And be honest with you, that one thing I'm really starting to enjoy over the last 20 years is when we hear Tom Peterson, and I don't necessarily mean him singing, but his musical contributions. Whenever you see Tom Peterson's name on a songwriting credit, there's something cool as far as pop music ahead. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Sure.
So So I'm not cutting down Cheap Trick. I'm not cutting down current Cheap Trick. I believe that in 6 years' time, BJ's going to put on Bang Zoom Crazy and We're All Right, and he's going to dig them like he didn't before. I think it's
You
just
say
that
so.
there's like there's a sticker shock to it says Cheap Trick on the cover, and it's more from Robin's point of view than it is Rick's at this point.
Hmm.
And maybe I'm wrong, and someone will hear this and say, "Oh, that's not what it is at all," and that's fine. What I believe we all think to be the truth. If I'm speaking for anyone and I'm not supposed to, tell me.
Give me some truth.
That's on the next
There
album.
you go.
Robert, what did you think of We're
Yeah,
All Right?
which
Uh, I like it. It does feel kind of like leftovers from Bang Zoom. So it didn't hit me quite as strong, but I'm really glad that they're still putting out albums of original material. I prefer them to be doing that than not putting out anything. But I do wish they were playing more of this kind of stuff. To me, if you put out a new album, when you hit the road, you should be promoting that album. And I know a lot of people don't agree with that, and everyone's into these classic rock set lists and stuff. I'm 100% opposed to that. So, the fact that they're doing new material, that's a great thing. I always like to hear what they're doing, and I'm really looking forward to the next album. And I hope we get to hear a bunch of it live. But yeah, overall for this record, it sounds kind of like sides 3 and 4 to Bang Zoom to me.
well, don't
Uh,
you figure they were recorded around the same time for the most part?
Well, it sure sounds like it. Yeah, it definitely, I definitely feel that. Whereas for so many of these albums since '97, especially, they kept going back to the '97 sessions. Maybe now it's easier for them. You just record 20 tunes, put 10 of them out now, and the other 10 out in 2 years, and you're done.
Right.
well, you have a favorite and least favorite, Robert?
I like Radio Lover, and Floating Down. Uh, for a least favorite, I'd probably have to give it a spin again. To be honest, I don't know.
Way to do your research. Uh, Ken, you have a favorite and least favorite?
Least favorite, brand new name on an old tattoo. It
Mm.
just sounds like
Oh, yeah.
something that some creepy guy would do. Like BJ was talking about a Fabulous Thunderbirds kind of a song. Like it. Let me put it this way: if Huey Lewis and the News did "Brand New Name on an Old Tattoo" or Sammy Hagar, I would expect it.
That's a definite dad rock song right there.
There you. Yeah, well, it's like woke. What is it? Woke up for breakfast, or awake for breakfast, up for breakfast. That
Yeah,
Sammy Hagar with Van Halen.
right.
It's about on par with that. Yeah, up for breakfast. That was the name of it. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I do. I remember hearing that once when it came out. It's some greatest hits album, right?
Yeah. So that to me that song is about on par with that, and it's made more money with songwriting both of these songs have than I have. So God bless you all, right? But my favorite song on "We're All Right" is "Floating Down."
Yeah.
Written by Tom Peterson, Robin Zander, and Rick Nielsen, and it is just beautiful. And in many ways, it's as close to Mandicello. Sorry,
You're drinking
it is,
too?
no, it is close to Mandicello as I think you can get without totally recreating it 100%. It's
All
some of that
right.
same thing to me.
How about you, BJ?
Well, if we're going by the deluxe edition, then
Well,
my
I'm sorry to cut you off.
yeah.
I should have said that offhand, because since we're not going through a deluxe edition, I am going to pick one, but there is a song in deluxe edition that's my favorite on here.
Yeah, Like a Fly is the best out of all these songs. If we're not going by the deluxe edition, then Probably Floating Down. I like the demo of Radio Lover more.
Yeah.
So probably Floating Down. Worst song, without a doubt, is She's All Right, which is horrible.
Oh yeah.
So
I now I remember you saying that. And in my review, I didn't say I loved it or hated it. I was like, it's whatever. What'd be your favorite and least favorite there, Ken?
Let me see.
Oh, I think you did that, didn't you?
Yeah. Floating. Yeah, we did floating
Yeah,
down.
okay. I think BJ and Robert did it too.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Mine would be Like a Fly, but okay, since we're not going with the deluxe editions, believe it or not, man, and none of you even mentioned this song. I love the opening track. You got it going on. I just think it's a cool tune. It's fun. And my least favorite. Oh, actually, by the way, Floating Down is a very close second. I actually really love that. And I have to agree with Ken, man. Brand new name on an old tattoo. It just, I just don't like it at all. But I don't know nothing about the Christmas album, though I have it here on vinyl, still sealed. But I'm going to get your guys' opinion on it, and let's see if I open that sucker tonight. BJ?
the first song is great. The original song, Merry Christmas, Darlings.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a great song. I think it's better than anything on Bang Zoom or We're All Right, personally.
Oh my.
Wow.
Oh my.
It's an awesome song. It sounds like Cheap Trick, too.
Yeah,
Right.
it does.
And but what do you think of the rest of it?
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah, it's for a Christmas album, it's really good, for what it is. It's a fun record.
Okay.
I really like the song Remember. I think is fantastic. It's Harry Nilsson's song Remember. Robin just kills it.
Yeah.
Robert?
I like the record. I think it's really interesting that these guys have so many Christmas songs out, because they did a single like decades ago, and there's been quite a few Christmas songs. I do think a really missed opportunity was, they do the Saturday Night Live song "I Wish It Was Christmas Today," which is co-written by Jimmy Fallon. So I don't see, how could they not swing an appearance on the Jimmy Fallon show? I mean, he hosts the Tonight Show now. Jimmy Fallon always does a whole month. The whole month of December is like Christmas shows, and they do all kinds of Christmas themed things and all this stuff. How did that not happen? That Cheap Trick are actually doing a song that he wrote. How can we not put this together? I'm gonna put it up to management not knowing what they're doing, because it seems like such an obvious home run.
Or they could have done it, where they play kids' instruments.
Yeah, sure. That thing's that's a real popular segment. Yeah.
Yeah. Dressed up with Santa hats on and
sure. And I'm sure Jimmy Fallon got a real kick out of the fact that a real band is covering his SNL skit joke song. So somebody needed to put that together. I don't know if that was a phone call that never happened or.
Yeah,
sure.
I agree.
I hate to backtrack here for a second, guys, because I'm looking at the track listing, and I noticed once again they cover a Roy Wood song. I wish it could be Christmas every day. I forgot to mention this about the last album. The one of the bonus tracks is Blackberry Way.
Yeah.
Yes, love it.
I love it. I thought it was great. The thing about Cheap Trick is that every time they cover something from Roy Wood, I personally, it's just my opinion, I always think it's a better version. California Man, Rock and Roll Tonight, Brontosaurus. Is there anyone I'm missing? I think that's every time I've heard that,
Down on the Bay.
Oh, Down on the Bay. See, I didn't know that was. Now I got to go research that one.
Yeah,
but but I always prefer the Cheap Trick versions. And Blackberry Way, I really liked it. I go, oh man, let me hear the was it Move, that one? I think it was the Move.
Yeah.
Well, I did. I went on YouTube and I listened to it and I was like, you know what? As much as I like the Cheap Trick version, I finally found an original version of a Roy Wood song that I actually preferred than from the Cheap Trick version. I was very impressed. Even though I like the Cheap Trick version, you know, I just was very impressed. But,
Yeah.
but anyway, guys, okay, we're at the end. This is definitely going to be a 4-part series, which is great because I'm very lazy on my podcast, so I got 4 episodes to put up. And I want to thank you guys, and kind of like, dude, I've been listening to Cheap Talk for years, and I really you know, listening to you guys do the roundtable, I just find it so interesting. And, you know, I mean, I know you're all going to plug your shit too, but I just got to say, BJ Cramp's Motley Crue series is so addicting because it takes them forever to get to the song. But I kind of like I like the intros more than when you talk about the songs because there's so much drama and so much interesting stuff. I had no idea. I will admit you went a little too long on the porn clips on the Generation
Yeah, I
Spy
did
one.
that on purpose. Yeah.
That went a little too long. I was like, all right, man, okay. I've seen this already. And I don't even think you put on the part where he honks the horn with his dick, did you? I don't remember hearing that.
All I had was what was on YouTube, I think.
I love you, baby. Love her. Oh, it's so cringy. But yeah, it's very interesting. You guys got to check out Rock and or Roll. There's a very interesting episode where he played a bunch of obscure bands that I really enjoyed, and and it's a great. And you know what? I revisited. I even forgot about this. The Shame show with me and Ian,
Yeah, yeah.
and Ian screaming at me throughout the whole thing, and you. But then he turns around and starts talking about the songs he likes. It's like, you want to talk, you know? But well, this is how we do it. That's one of the songs he liked.
Ian has the worst picks ever of any No Shame, I swear.
I'm telling you, he's goofing on us. But yeah, it's an awesome episode. But I'm going to let you all plug. Robert, you're going to talk about your awesome book. And we're going to be here for another half hour as Ken talks about all his podcasts. And but I'll let you go first, Podfather, because you are the Podfather. Plug away, my friend. And you are, again, I've said this a million times, Ken Mills and Bob Nalbamian is responsible for making me start doing podcasts. And I love you, Ken.
I love you too. And I've also told the story that when I was in the hospital and not doing well, you called me just about every day, and you were a faithful friend, and I will never forget it.
Yeah, you know, hey, man, it's my pleasure, man. I was worried about you. And
I
I'm
didn't
glad
know
you're
you were allowed to call.
Yeah. But as far as things you can hear me on, we do the show, the Podkist, which is the longest running Kiss podcast. And we're going into 15 years coming up in January. So there you go. BJ and I do Cheap Talk, which is all about the band Cheap Trick. And I do a show called Pop, which is like its own network. I'm going to call it a Ken work instead of a network.
I like
that. I do everything from like a game show called the Fun Size Show to where some shows I play a disc jockey, and that's WKIP. And then, you know, there's just talking about everything in pop culture. Like, Ralph, you want to come on and talk about Jaws? Let's do it. Because I've never seen Jaws. I'd like to have a...
What? What? Not till you watch it. I ain't coming near you.
What? Well, that's what I'm just saying. That would give me a good reason to watch it.
It's awesome. It's awesome, Ken. It's really
awesome.
It's awesome. There you go.
Yes. So, but seriously, if you're into what I do or you want to check it out, I'm at the point where I stopped doing shows just about one band or two bands. I also got a Monkeys podcast. I'm doing anything I want to do, and I'd like you to come along on the ride. It's not a network; it's a Ken work, and it's Kenspirational, and it's just a lot of fun.
Kenstery. You're like Kisstery and Kissmas.
You're goddamn right I am.
There you go.
BJ, give us your plugs, bro. Your awesome podcast, which I've been listening feverishly the last couple weeks.
Wow.
I have, man.
Whenever I find out like somebody like you is listening, then I'm like, oh God, what did I say?
Yeah.
No, I thoroughly enjoy it. You annoy me more on Cheap Talk.
um, yeah, I just tell people to Google Rock and or Roll podcast, and then you'll get all the links to. There's a blog page, and Podbean is the main place, but it's on any of your podcast apps, and there's a Facebook page. So
Right on. And the author of not only a Cheap Trick, but also a Nazareth book, Mr.
Hey.
Robert Lawson. Plug away, my friend.
So it's been out for a little while now, but my book's still competition, The Listener's Guide to Cheap Trick. It's still available on all Amazon sites. Barnes & Nobles in the States can order it in for you, although that's a little bit more pricey. And Indigo Books in Canada has it. But like I say, all international sites have it. So reception to it's been pretty favorable. It's a chapter-by-chapter look at each album, and I talk about singles and chart action and TV appearances, radio broadcasts, even some bootlegs. I'm pretty confident that there's stuff in there that you won't agree with, but there's definitely going to be a little bit in there that you didn't know before. So I'm pretty proud of it.
Yeah, and if you want to hear a semi-audio book version of it, check out my reviews, because I lift a lot of stuff from these books. But I also give you credit, you know. All right, and you also have a Nazareth book.
Yeah, my first book was about Nazareth, and that's just about out of print, actually. So I've lowered the price on some of the extra stock that I have here at my home. But soon it will be unavailable from Amazon, and once my stock here is gone, it'll be officially out of print. So hopefully some Nazareth fans will be able to get a copy.
Right?
Sorry?
You'll be able to get the Kindle version, right?
The Ken Mills version?
Yeah,
yeah,
there's an audio version of Ken reading it. What
I'd
could be
do
better? That'd be awesome.
I could do that.
Right on, guys. Well, man, I can't thank you guys enough. Thank you so much. Such a long episode, and it's going to be broken up in a lot of parts, and I really do appreciate all three of you and what you guys do. You bring me a lot of entertainment, man, all three of you, and check out everything they just plugged, because I approve of it, and, you know, I'm the gold standard of improvements.
That's true.
That's right.
Hey, BJ's the only one that had a laugh.
approvements. I laughed at the word approvements.
Okay. Is that not a word?
I don't think so.
Okay. There you go.
Wow.
There was one of Ralph's episodes where he actually, you know, most people when they get the title of my book wrong, they call it stiff competition. And
I do that.
No, but there's one of your videos where you call it still, so you get that right. But then you said compilation.
Yeah, I saw that one. Oh,
And I love it. I love it.
Ralph, you said that this show's going to be in a bunch of different parts. I hope you find them all.
Well, thanks, guys. We're at the end of the show, and man, hey, BJ, I can't thank you enough, man. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Ralph. I'll always talk about Cheap Trick.
Yeah, man. And Ken, whoa, man, royalty we got here. Thank you, Ken, so much for being here.
It's time together. I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be anywhere.
Wow.
Thank you.
We've been talking too long, huh, Ken? All right, Ken's running on fumes. And Mr. Robert Lawson, thank you so much, man. I appreciate. Yeah, go ahead.
Great to be back talking to you, Ralph, and always good to spend some time with my friends Ken and Brian.
And hopefully us three can get together, us four can get together again and do something.
Yeah.
And it'd be really nice if you finally invite me on Cheap Talk, you nice person.
Well, you and I did an episode recently, but we can always do more.
That's right. Yeah, invite me on whenever you want. I'll be there. You know me. I'm a whore. I do anything for podcasts.
There you yes. Nicely done.
All right. So good night now, ladies and gentlemen. Come on.
Good night now,
Ladies and gents.
Suicide.
Would you like to roll a joint with me? Again, man, thank you so much, everybody. Anybody have some last words?
Schmack 'em a gob.
Hell yeah. Me, rock all night.
There you go.
Good night now,
Akiza.
everybody. Well, there you go. The end of the epic 4-part series of the Cheap Trick discography. Again, thanks to Ken, Robert, and BJ for being part of the roundtable. Now have me on your damn show. All right. Like all the Vieira vaults, I go on into the vault, man. All right, I'm in the vault, and this is another Cheap Trick song. It's a Cheap Trick cover, and that's it. I'm out of here. Hopefully, I have a new episode up soon. I'll be working on it as I'm recording this, and you hear my voice. I don't know what the hell I'm going to do, but I'll do something. Anyway, this is a B-side from Anthrax from the Sound of White Noise era. They also did a cover of Big Eyes that, it's not that it's bad. It's kind of like uneventful. Unlike this one, this is an amazing cover. This is when they had John Bush in the band, one of my favorite singers. And man, do I want John Bush on the Vieira Vault one day. Or Rock and Metal Combat Podcast, whichever one. Big hero of mine, one of my favorite singers, singing a song that features my favorite singer on the original version. Good night, everybody. This is Anthrax with a song that's very appropriate for this whole 4-part series. This is their version of Cheap Trick's Auf Wiedersehen. Señorita, see you later. Buenas noches. Bye-bye.